Now we can place the floor joists. In this model we'll be using I-joists similar to this. They do come in various sizes. We'll be using a standard size that is just about 12 inches tall. Let's look at the section view. This shows how the floor attaches to the foundation. Here's our foundation wall. Here's our sill plate and our anchor bolt. And you can see the I-joist here. It ends at the stair opening. This is what's called a rim joist. This will go around the perimeter of the floor. And then the main floor with walls will be built on top of this floor structure. Here's an example that shows a rim joist that helps tie everything together. So place in our main floor folder. Let's start with this file called iJoist long, and place 2 copies of that to start with. Now typically these iJoists are placed 16 inches on center. We'll start by placing one of these right at the edge of our model. I'll start by lining this side of the I-joist up with this side of the sill plate and clicking flush. Next, make sure you switch back to mate when you do this. If you're on flush, it's not going to work. So I like to mate the top of the sill plate to the bottom of the I-joist. Let's see, which one is it? Looks like it's that one right there. And then this isn't fully constrained yet. I'm going to close my constraint dialog box and grab this and move it. And you can see I haven't constrained it in this direction, so it's easy for me to move it. We need to leave a little bit of space here for our last piece, the rim joist, that will tie all the I-joists together. And let's set that distance exactly with one more constraint. So let's go constrain, and I want to select this with this surface, flush, but enter an offset of 1.25, 1.25 inches, and hit OK. Now our next I-joist, I think I'll start this one by right-clicking and choosing the bottom face of the I-joist and get that sitting on the sill plate. Apply that. Then I'd like it to be 16 inches from this other I-joist. So I'm going to select this side of the I-joist, zoom in here, right-click about here, so that I can select that side of the I-joist, and then let's set that offset to 16 inches. And apply that. And last, I can press escape, drag my I-joist, and there's a couple things I could do here. I could just use my flush constraint and get these 2 ends of the I-joist to be flush to each other. Or I could set that to 1.25 inches, just like I did this one with the mate constraint. Either way. Now at this point we need to do something a little different. We are going to have some stairs coming up from this basement level to the main floor, and we need an opening for those stairs to pass through. So there are some shorter I-joists now. If you go to place component, choose I-joist 4 foot 3 inches and place 2 copies of that. And let's place the other side. Those lengths will be 5 feet 5 inches. Place 2 copies of those. And let's place one more full length long I-joist. Now first of all, the width of our stairwell is going to be the minimum. It's going to be 36 inches. So I'm going to start by putting this eye joist 36 inches from this eye joist. We can do that very similar to how we just did the previous one. I'll start by selecting the bottom face, putting it on the sill plate, and then I need a distance of 36 inches between here and here. Apply that, and then we can make sure this is even with that 1.25 inches here. I'll click flush and OK. So those are all lined up. We don't see a note here on the floor joist spacing, but elsewhere in a set of house plans it would typically be specified. And let's assume that it's going to be a fairly standard distance of 16 inches between each eye joist. That gets a little complicated here because we've gone 16 inches between these two, but then all of a sudden we've gone 36 here. So that means our spacing is going to be a little bit off. What I'd like to do is evenly use this space here for our two shorter pieces. It'll be a little less than 16-inch spacing, but that's okay. 16 inches is our maximum spacing. You can always space things closer, it'll just be stronger. So let's constrain our first short piece. Start with the bottom of the eye joist. There it is, to the top of the sill plate. And I'm going to do this a little bit different. Before I fully constrain this eye joist, let's move to this one. I'll do the same thing. And apply that. So now both of these eye joists just have one constraint on them. And I'm doing that because I'm going to just eyeball it here. Press escape, and I'm going to just evenly space these in this area. Let's look at this from the top. And now I'll put the rest of the constraints here. Let's set this to flush with an offset of 1.25 and do the same to this joist. And rather than add our third constraint, which would be the distance between these eye joists, select this first eye joist, right click and choose select it, right click and choose grounded. Rather than set an exact distance, I'm just going to eyeball it in this case.